Chapter 26, How to Raise Money by Mail. The charity fundraising organizations of New York once gave a dinner to the secretaries of all these philanthropies. Several hundred attended. One of them had a niece who happened to be visiting him from the country, so he brought her along, expecting her to be much impressed. She was. Coming to the big dining room and seeing what a crowd was there, she turned to her uncle aghast. "Uncle!" she exclaimed in a very audible whisper. "Do the poor of New York have to support all these people?" The secretaries of charity organizations are, for the most part, an earnest, hard-working group, doing wonders in the way of money raising, and many of them do it at remarkably small expense. Dozens of effective methods of appealing for funds have been worked out, of which perhaps the best is that of showing the picture of some crippled child, telling his pitiful story and then leaving it to the reader to multiply that story by thousands. You see, it is difficult to get much worked up over statistics. You read with comparative indifference that 36,000 people are killed and 1 million injured each year in auto accidents. But just let you witness a little child being run down, let you hear the anguished cry of its mother, let you look at the pitiful, mangled remains, and you will never feel indifferent again. Every time you read of an accident, you will see again that mangled child. You will think of the bereft mother, and you will resolve to do something to see that this wholesale slaughter is stopped. The same is true of any great catastrophe, of earthquakes or floods or famine or war. We cannot visualize them in the mass. The only way to make us feel them is to tie them into the story of one victim. The English have learned this, and in the Great War they brought it down to a science. First they tried us on broken treaties and the like. But these left us cold, for every European nation has broken treaties pretty much at will, when it happened to be advantageous to them to do so. They tried a dozen other angles, and then they hit upon the theme of young girls being attacked by the Hun soldiers. At last, they had something. From then on, their propaganda was resistless. They dramatized the case of Edith Cavell and of a dozen other individuals until they had this country ready to war with Germany nearly 2 years before we actually got into it. In short, they appealed to our emotions by visualizing what was happening to some one poor victim of war, and then followed with argument that sounded reasonable in indicating what might happen to us if we did not do something about it. And that is what the most successful fund appeals do. They appeal first to the emotion, and follow that with a swift shift to the intellect. They work up your feeling of pity, and follow it with a logical reason why you should give, lest similar catastrophe come close to you. Here is the way it was done by one tuberculosis association. In a childish scrawl across the top of a letter, there was reproduced the following. Dear TB people, thank you for helping to save my daddy's life and bring him home safe again, and not being sick and coughing all the time like he used to. Then underneath it came the appeal. Dear friend, the above is an exact copy of a part of a letter received by the association. We are passing the thanks along to where it belongs, to the people who bought Christmas seals last year. For without their help, we could not have arranged for Daddy's cure. Will you help us to bring others back home, safe and well by next Christmas? We have already sent you your Christmas seals, so you could help. In the rush of things, you have overlooked sending in your remittance in the addressed envelope we sent. Your dollar can never do more good, nor be spent in a better way, than to help those who are sick and unable to help themselves. Won't you help us to finish the job by sending yours now? Please don't wait. Sincerely? If that does not bring back the money, there follows a letter with a snapshot of an undernourished youngster in the corner, hopeful, appealing looking, and this message from him. Dear folks, I am Junior Smith. This is my picture. I was sick for a long time, and it didn't seem that I was ever going to get well. Then the Blank Tuberculosis Association said they would help me. So last November, they took me to the tuberculosis camp, where they help others like me to get well. Now I am getting well and strong and will soon be able to run and play again. I can then grow up to be a big, strong man. I hope a lot of people bought Christmas seals, so a lot of other boys and girls in Smithtown can be helped to get well. Thank you. Under it comes the follow-up from the association. P.S. We don't want to overburden you, but our former letter requesting a remittance for the seals we sent you was evidently overlooked. We will deeply appreciate $1 or any amount you wish to send. Forgive me for calling it to your attention, but the need for tuberculosis work this year is unusually urgent. We must help hundreds of others like Junior Smith. Please put your check or money in the enclosed envelope and mail it now, gratefully. Summer camps have worked out effective appeals along similar lines, many of them using the before and after pictures. They show some poor, pale youngster from the slums as he looked in the heat of the big city. Then they show a picture of him after a month at camp, with plenty of fresh air, food, and exercise. With it, they show campfire scenes, swimming pool, fishing, and all the things you loved to do when you were a boy, and end with a letter along the lines of the following. Dear Mr. Smith, this is Philip Jones's application, a good boy who wants to go to camp but has no money. His folks have had a very hard time indeed this winter, and Philip needs good, substantial nourishment. $1 a day will pay his way. I thought you might like to help us take him for 2 weeks. If you would be good enough to return this application with your contribution, I would appreciate it. Sincerely. It is a fact, which all will admit, that what helps one helps all, so even though the benefit be indirect, we all benefit from any good that may be done for the children of the slums. We all benefit from any help that may be given them to grow into healthy, happy, successful men and women. Knowing that there is an appeal to our reason, so all we need is a strong enough emotion of sympathy to make us dig down into our genes and give until it hurts. Here is a letter based largely on that appeal to reason. This plan is helping thousands to end their worry about tuberculosis. Dear friend, human beings do not come like buttons from a mold, but in individual packages. There is a prize in every package, but many people never seem able to find theirs. This civilization of ours is based on giving every man a chance to find the prize in his packet of life. It is based on the strong helping the weak, on the fortunate sharing some of their gifts with those unable to fend for themselves. That is why we are taking the liberty of sending you the enclosed Christmas seals. You are one of the fortunate ones. You are strong. You are able. You have found the prize in your package. Will you share a little of it with those less fortunate? The money you send for the enclosed seals will not be wasted on overhead and the like. More than 80% of it goes direct to the needy. It enables us to provide 1 or 2 clinics every week, to test for tuberculosis in the public schools, to give emergency relief in newly discovered cases, to prevent other members of the family developing the disease, to put many in sanitariums and help even more at home. Will you help? Will you share a little of the good things you have won from life with these poor souls who are unable to help themselves? Will you act the part of the Good Samaritan by helping to bind up their hurts, by making it possible for them to be healed? The enclosed envelope is for your convenience. Will you put your remittance into it and mail it now? On the part of all those you are helping, I say sincerely, thank you. Gratefully. Then there is the seldom used but popular method of helping people to help themselves. Most of us have heard too many stories of families that sit back and wait for relief checks to come to them, refusing to lift a finger for their own help. A letter like the following sounds refreshing. Here is a plan which is helping thousands to start life over again. Dear Sir, for 3 years now you have been giving generously to help those in desperate need, and the chances are you are getting a bit tired of their continuous calls upon your pocketbook. What a relief it would be to lend a hand to a man who would use whatever you gave him to start afresh and look after himself thereafter. That is what is happening down in the soft coal fields of Pennsylvania, Kentucky, and West Virginia. The Quakers down there are teaching the miners how to earn a livelihood, regardless of whether the mines run or not. They are showing them how to make furniture, to weave rugs, to take leather and make shoes, and especially they are making it possible for them to raise their own food. And they are doing it with a very little money. Largely, they are using gifts of machinery and equipment and clothing, old sewing machines, spinning wheels, shop motors, grinders, and the like. Have you anything that would help to equip a shop to make these sturdy workers self-supporting? The Quakers aim to so equip each community that it will be able to supply all its own needs. Have you anything that will help? If not, will you feed one family for a week to help them carry on until their little gardens produce? $10 will feed a whole family for a week. Will you adopt one for just 1 week? Take its feeding upon your shoulders? The enclosed envelope is for your convenience. Will you use it now today? Sincerely. Lastly, there is the plan of getting together a central group of well-known citizens and getting each to write a personal appeal in his in name to 10 friends. For such a letter along the lines of the following has been found effective. Dear Jim, will you join me in helping an old friend of ours out of a serious hole? Dr. Jones came home and told me about it. I promised him I'd lend a hand. You too. He doesn't ask much of us, but if each one of those he is counting on does his bit, it will pull our friend out of the hole. You see, it is the blank institute that is in difficulties. You know it, of course. It is one of the few places where a man down on his luck can still go and get a meal and a place to sleep and help in landing a job, without having to supply his birth certificate or dog license, and without putting up a cent. So many people have been calling on this institute for help this past year that it has had to spend every penny on them, with the result that it is 8 months behind on its own rent, and the landlord has served it with the dispossess notice. And if that should go through, I don't know what would happen to a lot of these poor fellows who don't know where to lay their heads from one night to the next. Dr. Jones has appealed to a number of us to each put up $10 to pay the back rent and start the institute afresh. I promised for myself and assured him I thought I could promise for you, Jim. Will you join me in this? Will you send me $10 that I can add to my own $10 and hand to Dr. Jones for this really worthy work? Here is a stamped envelope for your convenience in mailing it. I'll be looking forward to hearing from you, Jim. Soon. Sincerely. These are some of the ways to raise money by mail. There are dozens of other methods of getting people to give, which we shall go into in another work, the principal among them being the appeal to vanity. Many a man will give freely if it means seeing his name blazoned across a newspaper page when he will give for no other reason. Even small contributors can be given this same satisfaction, but that is subject for a chapter in itself. Next to giving to charity is the plan of getting contributions for some worthwhile cause, like, let us say, the Liberty League or Prohibition or anything of the kind. One project we once worked on was a plan to interest people in a league to enforce public economy. Here is the letter we tried. It brought a good response, but as you may have noticed, it did not affect public expenditures in any noteworthy degree. Pasted at the top of the letter was a brand new penny. Here is the most profitable invention ever made. The idea that borrowed money must pay interest. Dear neighbor, just this little insignificant penny put out at 4% compound interest in the year. 1 AD would today be worth 1 nonillion, 227 octillion, many times the wealth of the entire world. That shows how interest on borrowed money can mount up. Benjamin Franklin gave a graphic illustration of the idea when he bequeathed $1,000 to a charitable enterprise, with the provision that it be put out at compound interest until it amounted to a sum sufficient for the purpose he had in mind. At 6% compounded quarterly, that $1,000 would today amount to $5,190,000. If a single penny put out at interest can grow to such proportions, if $1,000 at interest can mount up so rapidly, imagine what 36 billions will amount to in a few years if left to grow compounded by budgetary deficits. The public debt of the U.S. government is today more than $36 billion. For the last year and a half, it has grown at a rate of more than $4 billion a year, and the indications are that next year will show an even greater increase. Unless that mounting debt is speedily checked, the country will be in danger, and the depression now ended may be as nothing to the one we may still have to go through. There is only one way to avoid that. Put an end to the needless spending that now threatens to wreck the whole structure of our government. Spend for necessary relief, yes, but cut out the unnecessary spending that has doubled the relief rolls and thrown billions into all manner of wasteful projects. Will you help to stop that waste? You are paying for it now, and you are going to keep on paying the rest of your days. No matter what your occupation or earnings, you are now working for the government one day in every 4 and not getting your money's worth. You'll be working for it half your time, or perhaps all your time if something is not done soon. The purpose of the blank league is to do something to stop this waste. But we can't do it alone. We need the help of every intelligent voter, for it is only as we can show ourselves to be the voice of a large section of the public that we can have any weight with Congress. Will you join? Will you send $1 as your contribution for 1 year's work? What can we do? 4 years ago, we were instrumental in stopping most of the ever-mounting payments to veterans not injured in the war, and thus saving annually over $300 million of the taxpayers' money. We can do even more now, we believe. $1 put into this work will bring your country a greater return, we truly believe, than any you have ever spent. $1 now will help to save hundreds and perhaps thousands in taxes later. And what is more, it may help to save you a free government, for who knows what form of fascism or communism might follow a real financial difficulty. Will you help? Will you help protect the Treasury against the hordes who are trying to raid it? Will you use the enclosed blank to enroll in the nonpartisan membership of the Blank League for the single purpose of checking government waste and getting rid of those old men of the sea? The twin threats of confiscatory taxes or disastrous printing press money? Sincerely. Quite different from any of the above was a letter selling the bonds of an industrial loan company. The appeal there, of course, was safety with high return. And here's the type of letter that brought best returns. You can laugh at money worries if you use this plan. Dear Sir, this letter, coming to you in advance of any public announcement, is intended for your eyes alone. It contains information which we ask you to regard as confidential. You will see why in a moment. In order that you may realize at the outset the peculiar importance of this letter, let me tell you, before taking up the details, that to a few men who have as little as $20 a month to spare, it brings the possibility of quitting work in 10 years and retiring on a comfortable income. Yet their money will be as safe, we believe, as in U.S. bonds, for it will be invested in one of the surest and strongest lines of business in this country today. For what is the safest place for your money? In one of the strong conservative banks, is it not? The banks of this country have built some of the biggest, most profitable institutions in the world, and their business is based on just one thing: the power of money to make more money when lent out at interest. Yet despite their great size, they deal with only 15% of the population. An even greater and stronger institution, we believe, is being built on dealings with the other 85% of the population. Here is the way of it. You probably know that the Blank Foundation spent a number of years and a considerable fortune investigating the needs of the average family of moderate means. And they found that the greatest need of 85% of these families was a place where they could borrow money to tide them over the emergencies which arise in every man's life. Banks were for the most part closed to them, leaving them at the mercy of the pawnbroker and the loan shark. So the Blank Foundation worked out what they regarded as an ideal law to cover the formation of loan companies, which should lend to these people on adequate security and at fair interest. And 26 states have made it the basis of their Uniform Small Loan Law. A number of loan companies have been organized under this law, but so great is the demand for such loans that it is estimated 900 million would be needed to take care of all of them. This is true not merely in times of depression, but in good times as well. For regardless of conditions, there are always emergencies arising in the average family, requiring the need of some unusual sum. It is for this reason that the profits to be made in the loan business are so unusual. It has no sales problem, no advertising or selling expense. There are no leftover stocks to be sold at lower prices, no inventories gathering dust on its shelves. Where other businesses have to worry about high sales expense, overproduction, and cutthroat competition, it has none of these. Its shelves are bare every night. Every dollar that comes in during the day is put back to work again before evening. It has no worries about holidays or Sundays, about 6 or 8 hour working days, for every dollar works 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, adding its little interest so steadily day after day that in a few years it piles up into an amount greater than the original investment. You see, there is always a waiting line of customers, ready to use the money as fast as old customers pay it back, or investors put it in. There is no delay. The dollar you put in today is hard at work tomorrow, gathering interest from the moment it is received. It is like a snowball which grows as it rolls. Yet it is safe too, for the loans are always small ones, never over $300. They are made to the family, and they are thoroughly secured. Over a period of 8 years, the losses have been less than 1/10 of 1%. Yet by keeping all its funds constantly at work, turning over the money into new loans as fast as the old ones are paid, it is able to show a gross profit on the money used of 36% each year. Any business which can earn this amount on its funds has no difficulty in paying 6% or even more to its bondholders, and constantly increasing dividends to its stockholders. Some 8 years ago, the Blank Industrial Loan Corporation was organized under the Uniform Small Loan Law of so-and-so for the purpose of making small loans not in excess of $300 each to families. For the first 2 or 3 years, it felt its way very carefully, putting out only a small amount of money until it could be sure that its methods and its system were right. Since then, it has been increasing steadily in size and earnings. Today, it finds that it could use 10 times the amount of funds it has at its disposal, could keep them loaned out on a profitable basis every day of the year. What is more, it could do that at no increase in administrative expense. To gradually provide these extra funds, the Blank Industrial Loan Corporation is going to put on the market a convertible gold bond, carrying some unusual privileges. First, to begin with, this bond will pay 6% interest in semi-annual payments. Second, it will share in the earnings, up to a third of the corporation's net earnings, to the extent of another 3% as declared by the board of directors. Third, it will be convertible into fully participating common stock, on the basis of 5 shares of stock to each $100 gold bond until July 1st, 1939, and after that for another 5 years on the basis of 4-to-1. In other words, if you use the attached application form to apply for a single gold bond, payable $20 a month for 5 months, it brings you not merely a generous interest on your money, but the chance to share in the earnings of a business which we believe offers greater possibilities than any other in the country today. You remember how the big installment credit houses grew between 1910 and 1925, and how those who put their money into them early in their careers prospered. The next few years, we believe, are going to see as great an expansion in the business of the personal loan companies, and those who have money in them should prosper as greatly. For the man who wants to quit work someday, for the man who wants to retire on a comfortable income, we know of no safer, surer way of ending money worries for good and all than by sowing these seeds of future fortune. One of the first laws given in the Bible is that everything increases after its kind. That law was considered so important that it was repeated no less than 6 times in the very first chapter of Genesis, and referred to frequently throughout the scriptures. Everything increases after its kind. To reap dollars, you must sow dollars. Few men ever get rich on a salary. To make money, you must put money working for you. Long before the time of Christ, this truth was known. Read his parable of the talents. What did the servants whom their Lord commended do with their money? Put it out at interest. And what did the unprofitable servant do with his? Hid it away, left it idle, doing nothing even as most men do today. For what is money and needless furnishings and luxuries but idle money? How many dollars are sitting around your home, staring at you idly, rotting away uselessly when they might be bringing you their daily increase? If you had been able to put out at interest even a single penny at the time Jesus walked the earth, it would today be worth over 200 trillion, more than all the wealth of the earth. You can't predate your investment like that, but you can put your money now where it will enable you to laugh at money worries 10 years from now. You can write your own income. You can say now when you are going to quit work and retire to enjoy the rest of your days. And the enclosed application form is the way you can bring it to pass. For this application enables you to put to work not only the few idle dollars you may have to spare now, but in addition, it brings to you first chance at every future issue of convertible gold bonds, with their privilege of changing into fully participating stock. Only 500 of these gold bonds will be issued now. Then for the next 4 months, no more will be sold. 5 months from now, there will be another issue, and only those who have used the attached application form will have a chance at it. Thereafter, from time to time, additional issues will be brought out, and always present holders will get first chance. You can laugh at money worries if you get your dollars working for you, reaping such a golden harvest. You can quit work one of these days and retire while your dollars go on working for you, if you plant them in such fertile soil as this. The enclosed application form is your opportunity. It is good only if used in 10 days. You can mail yours now, today. Will you? You can withdraw it, for any reason or no reason within 20 days, and any money you have deposited will be returned to you in full. Sincerely. Akin to it in its opening is the following letter on a mining stock. Here, of course, the investment is a palpable gamble. There is no factor of safety about it, but there is the speculative possibility of a high return. Offerings of this kind have been greatly restricted by the Security and Exchange Commission, but there are practically no restrictions when the amount to be raised is under $30,000. And even for a $100,000 offering, all that is necessary is to file a copy of your prospectus with the Commission. Here is a plan which has helped thousands to end their money worries for good. Dear Sir, here is a plan which has already brought more than 100-fold increase to those who were courageous enough to take a chance on the Lakeshore gold mine, about 2.5 miles away from us. As every 32.5 cents put into their stock when they were preparing for their first 50-ton mill in 1918 has grown to $58.50, besides receiving rich dividends from the very first year after the mill was installed right down to now. The same plan showed a profit of many thousand% to those who invested in the stock of Tech Hughes, less than 2 miles northeast of us, and on a line with Lakeshore back in 1921 when it sold for as low as 11 cents a share. It brought 10-fold increase to investors in Wright Hargreaves on the same ore-bearing strata about 2¾ miles northeast of us. In the past 2 years alone, it has multiplied by 14 the money put into Macassa, just to the northeast of us. And it is paying goodly dividends to everyone who has followed this plan and invested money in any of the 7 producing mines in this Kirkland Lake area. Today, this same plan promises even greater possibilities of profit from seemingly the richest discovery in this Kirkland Lake gold belt, the Trout Creek treasure chest. But before telling you a thing about this very real chance at fortune, we want to say that this letter does not ask you for a single penny. All we want from you now is an expression of interest. You see, most of the preliminary work has already been done on this Trout Creek property. A mill has been bought and is ready to set up. It needs only to do this and the underground work necessary to block out large quantities of commercial ore, to bring the mine into active operation. But that, it is estimated, will require in the neighborhood of $100,000, and until we are assured that all of this will be available when and as we need it, we don't want to sell you any stock. So the purpose of this letter is to learn if you will be interested in putting up $10 or more. Up to $100, provided enough others will pledge themselves for similar amounts to make up the necessary $100,000. It was back in August 1928 that one of the most spectacular discoveries yet made in the Kirkland Lake Gold Belt, which is now the second largest gold-producing area in the world, was made on the property of the Trout Creek Gold Mining Co., LLT, near Swastika, Ontario. To quote E.H. Orser, the mining engineer in charge of the work, in 1928, on August 14th, men working under my direction uncovered what has been one of the most spectacular gold finds in the North Country. My assays on the surface of this material ran up to $14.25 per ton, and records which I have seen of ore shipped to smelter indicate ore of exceptional values at this point. Channel samples taken by me over the top of the original show on a width of 12 inches gave as follows: $14.25, $41.25, $29.20, $1,163 per ton. Later assays by other officials gave the following results: $295, $22.31, $22.17, $280, $44.20, $52.01, $15.94 per ton. Test shipments to the smelter gave $295.60 per ton gold value. Another shipment of 47 laybys, with no free gold showing, averaging $3,716 per ton value. Very little of this value of ore is ever seen around a gold mine, which operates on what we call a high-grade ore. This find was an exceptional one. About 5,000 feet of diamond drilling and some 200 feet of underground development has since been done on the property, with the result that 2 important facts have been established. First, Trout Creek is in the same highly mineralized zone as the big gold producers of the area, like Lakeshore, Tech Hughes, Wright Hargreaves, etc., and has the same geological conditions. Second, gold values typical of Kirkland Lake's average have been proven in underground development. If Trout Creek had nothing more than these two facts on which to base its expectations, it would offer a wonderful chance at fortune, because out of this small district has already been taken a $140 million worth of gold. But Trout Creek has much more. Trout Creek has found at the surface gold ore of almost unbelievable richness. And ore does not rain down from heaven. It is forced up from the inner fastnesses of the earth. So if ore that rich is found at the surface, the chances are that even greater and richer finds will be encountered as the development work is pushed deeper and deeper. That this belief is shared by mining authorities is indicated by the headlines that ran in the newspapers when the first discovery became known. Crisis-like discovery near Kirkland Road, read the Financial Post. Remarkable find near Swastika, reported the Northern Miner. Spectacular sample of gold? Your correspondent examined the rich material in the discovery on Trout Creek property and is glad to confirm the earlier report that it compares with the richest surface discoveries ever made in the Kirkland Lake area. Then why, you may well ask, have not investors come forward with all the money we need to develop the property and bring it into profitable operation? For the same reason that most other rich mines went begging in their early development stages. The history of our own country is full of the records of small investments that quickly grew into fortunes, simply because people generally are looking for sure things and are reluctant to take a chance. Back in 1926, for instance, the Sunshine Mine in Idaho was begging at 30 cents a share. Today, it is selling around $19 and has paid big dividends in cash. According to the Spokesman Review, a 16th interest in the Hercules mine was once offered for $160. Since then, it has paid in dividends just about $1 million. What the Trout Creek gold mine will pay, nobody knows. We don't offer it as a sure thing. It is a speculation, but it seems to us so good a speculation that we, the men now interested in it, have put into the company $90,000 of our own money. We believe it will be worth your while to put into it any money that you can spare too. But we don't want you to put in a penny until we are assured that we can get all the money we estimate will be needed to develop the mine up to commercial operation. Will you come in if we get that assurance? Will you invest $10 or more, not exceeding $100, if enough other people pledge themselves to provide a total of $100,000? If you will, please put your name on the enclosed card and send it back at once. The books close in 2 weeks. If we have not reasonable assurance by then that the money will be available, no subscriptions will be accepted, and we shall use other channels for raising the money. We don't pretend to be prophets, and we are not going to tell you that the enclosed card is a sure key to fortune. But we do know a number of men and women who are today retired and living on comfortable incomes, solely because they saw the possibilities in the stock of our neighbors, Lake Shore, or Tech Hughes, or Wright Hargreaves. Now, Macassa, which almost adjoins our property, has just declared its first dividend, and those who bought its stock only 18 months ago can sell it today at a profit of $1,400. Our mining claims are astride the same highly mineralized zone as these rich producers, and we believe are by far the richest yet uncovered. This may prove to be your chance to end your money worries for good. Sincerely. One of the most interesting trends of the last few years has been the growth of forecasting and interpretive agencies to tell you what the New Deal was going to do next and to interpret what it was doing. Some of these appealed to the gain motive, so they properly belong with the money-raising letters. Typical of this class is the following. How to read the future. So you can laugh at business worries in the months to come. Dear Sir, you remember the tale of the Wall Street broker who was asked what one thing he would wish for if he could have anything he wanted? To know today, he answered, what the market will do next Thursday. Everybody wants to know the future, wants to learn ahead of time what of good fortune is awaiting him there. But to men in business or in the market, such knowledge gained ahead of the crowd is oftentimes of untold value. For it is not personal ability that makes people rich or successful so much as opportunity. When Mr. Rentschler made $35 million out of a $253 investment, it was through no unusual ability of his own. It was simply his inside knowledge of the profits likely to come to the aircraft companies through government subsidy. And it is through inside knowledge and understanding of what is happening in Washington today that you can plan your business and your investments so as to be able to laugh at business worries in the months to come. Would you risk $1 for such inside information each week for the next 8 weeks? If you would, then use the enclosed trail order blanket once. You see, Wall Street is no longer the arbiter of American business. The nation's financial capital has moved from the banks of Wall Street to the banks of the Potomac. Wall Street is still a power, of course, but its sway is passing. It is what goes on in Washington that will determine the ups and downs of business in the future, far more than any schemes of the money changers who used to sit in the seats of the mighty. So it is not the market you need to watch today. It is the capital. And it is not the froth of speech-making. It is the quiet planning that is going on behind the scenes. That is where history is being made. That is where the future success of your business and your investments is being determined. You can wait for the news reports of those plans in the daily papers and make what meaning you can out of them, or you can get advance information on them with a thorough digest of just what they will mean to you and to your business by reading the private newsletter of the such and such company. For more than 40 years, the Such and Such magazine has given in each issue a review of the events of importance of the previous month, showing their relation one to another and how they affected the world plan as a whole. Today, history is being made so rapidly that the men who guide the destinies of business need not only a resume of the past, but what is being planned for the future. So we have arranged with the man who, in our opinion, shows the greatest insight into the meaning of the New Deal and has perhaps the most valuable contacts in Washington, John J. Smith, to write for us a private newsletter each week and then fill in each month in the Such and Such magazine the entire background needed to understand what is going on in Washington today. John J. Smith taught economics for several years at Blank University. He has written a number of books on Wall Street and Washington. He edited the Blank Weekly and later the So-and-So. He not only has a thorough grasp of the whole subject, but his wide contact give him inside information impossible for the ordinary writer to obtain. To those men to whom others look to guide the destinies of their business, Smith's letters will prove indispensable. They will provide the information without which it is impossible to intelligently plan ahead. Will you try them? Will you let us send them to you for 8 weeks, just to prove to you how valuable they are, what a clear insight they give into what is going on in Washington, and what it will mean to you? The price of the private newsletter each week is $7 a year. Of the Such and Such magazine, $3 a year. Of the two together, the weekly letter and the monthly background, $9 a year. Payable $1 with order and $2 monthly or $8 cash. But if you will mail the enclosed special 8 weeks trial order at once. With only $1, we will send you both the weekly letters and the monthly Such and Such magazine for 2 months, at little more than half their regular cost. Never in our history has there been a time when the news of Washington held more of importance to you and to your business than it does today. The next 8 weeks may bring revolutionary changes to many industries. To others, it will give opportunities such as they have never seen before. If you are one of these, the advance information given you by these weekly letters may be worth to you hundreds and thousands of dollars. Will you risk $1 for 8 weeks of such advance information? Will you send the trial order form now? Sincerely. To those who took advantage of this short-term offer, a series of letters was then written along the lines of the one that follows, urging them to subscribe for a full year. Dear Mr. Jones, 1937 will be for insiders a buying year. You remember when Russell Sage was asked the secret of his vast fortune? He said it was buying straw hats in January. Well, that's true, for buying straw hats in January means buying when stocks or commodities are a drug on the market, and then selling when everyone else is bidding them up sky high. It's sad to confess, but the mass of the people usually guess wrong. When stocks are at the peak, they buy. When they are on the toboggan, they sell. Business moves in cycles, you know, and if past experience counts for anything, 1937 is a year in which to buy. Commodities, stocks, almost everything, are still near their bottom prices. They have started up, but they have a long way yet to go. Next year, everybody will be climbing on the bandwagon. But next year, anybody will be able to read the signs which are understandable now only to the insiders. Bank deposits rising, commodity prices going up, big credit expansion starting in the banks, business indicators suggesting a big increase in activity in October and November. Do these signs mean anything to you? Over in England, they have been enjoying a stock market boom for months. Many stocks have advanced so far in price as to make new high records since the war. Why has not the market here been doing the same? Because Wall Street is no longer in the saddle. The determining factors in the rise and fall of stocks and commodities come out of Washington, not Wall Street. Washington wants no runaway stock market, so there'll be no 1929 boom. To keep in touch with the world of business and finance today, to even invest your money with safety, you must know what is going on under the surface in Washington. And we know of no better way to learn that than through the weekly newsletters of the Such and Such magazine, with the monthly background supplied by the magazine itself. The price of the weekly newsletter is $7 a year. Of the Such and Such magazine, $3 a year. By using the enclosed card at once, you get both together for only $9, payable $1 a month or $8 cash. Just your name on the enclosed card will keep the newsletter and Such magazine coming to you for the next 52 weeks. You need send no money now. Bill for the first month's payment of $1 will be mailed you in due course. But to keep getting without a break your weekly letter, giving the inside information on what is happening in Washington, your card will have to be mailed right away. Sincerely. More and more restrictions are being placed each year on money-raising campaigns and on services being marketed by mail. But when properly done, both fields offer amazing possibilities. People will give when you have stirred their emotions. People will invest when you have aroused their cupidity. And people want to know the future, so if you can persuade them that you are any sort of a seer or a prophet, they will buy your forecasting service. It all comes back to the point we made in the beginning. What do they want? What is the bait that will attract your fish and make them bite? Find that, and you will be as successful in bringing back orders as any angler can be with a properly baited hook in bringing in the fish. Congratulations! You have reached the end of the playlist. If you would like to grab your copy of the Robert Collier letter book, click the link in the description and you will find it available in German, Spanish, and French, alongside many other fundamental marketing books. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more direct response content. See you in the next one.